You know, I'd sealed this away for so long. After I'd gotten my master's and gone to get my PhD, I didn't think I'd ever have to use you again. But now that the PhD provider is laid out on the ground and claiming that he has no regrets, I think I'm going to believe him. So, let's wipe the dust off you, old friend. It's time to stop being a glazer and become a slopper once again. What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a quick breakdown and discussion. It's not going to be quick. It's going to be slow and arduous. Oh, sweet mother of mercy, this is going to be painful. But here we are to do a discussion on whether or not anybody, and I mean anybody, can beat the new Sukuna, the new Maguna, the big beefy boy that decided to show himself at the end of chapter 236 of Jujutsu Kaisen. So, we got a lot to talk about, so let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? Pencil here. Peep the Sukuna merch that the king had on, and we need to talk about Sukuna, and how he is pretty much unstoppable. Like, realistically, he should be pretty much unstoppable on pretty much every single level imaginable. And let's talk about why. So the most basic thing that we need to talk about is not the new thing that he got in 236, or technically he learned back in 234 and then showed us that he had in 236. It's not even hypothetical things that cover, abilities that he could still have access to, or abilities he's yet to reveal that he could have access to. It's not even his unrevealed curse technique. We're going to cover all that in a second. We have to remember that this man's physical stats are insane. Delusional, even. I know. Currently, by the end of 236, he has not even begun his healing process. Maybe he's low on cursed energy, doesn't have enough to RCT. But remember, this man was fast enough and strong enough to keep up with Satoru Gojo. Now, you may be wondering, why is that so important, Mr. Pencilman? And the reason I say that is because the fastest characters in the verse, your characters like Naoya, Naobito, Toji, Maki, Curse Naoya, these speed demons are nowhere near the tier of someone like 20-Finger Maguna. For reference, 20-Finger Maguna was able to keep pace, for the most part, until he started amping himself with blue, keep pace with 20-Finger Gojo. We'll call him two halves Gojo instead of 20-Finger. Two halves Gojo. He was able to keep pace with two halves Gojo and not get absolutely perception blitzed out of oblivion, except on the rare occasions when Gojo started to go a little bit crazy with the blues and really start moving around. And for reference, a awakened teen Gojo, not adult, not 10 plus years of training, not super technique refined, none of that, no. Awakened teen Gojo pulled up on Toji, who you can make a very solid, is it even like an argument or is it just a fact? You know what, I'll be generous. You can make a very, very solid argument that Toji, in terms of raw speed, is a top 5 character in the entire verse, above characters that are extremely speedy themselves. Characters like Naoya, characters like Naobito, characters like Yuta. Yeah, I'm saying that. But and the reason I say that is because Toji's able to outpace the Six Eyes. Now, notably, the Six Eyes were tired, they were sleepy, they had been overused a whole bunch, but the fact that the Six Eyes could not track the Sorcerer Slayer and proceeded to get absolutely caught off guard, while a little bit sweepy, by the Six Eyes, not by the Six Eyes, by the Sorcerer Slayer, and then the Sorcerer Slayer proceeds to get casually perception blitzed and avoided. No, once again, maybe perception blitz is too mean to Toji, but get casually outsped and outdone by Awakened Teen Gojo is crazy. And then realize that Awakened Teen Gojo should be fodder to his adult self, and then realize that Sukuna was going relative to that adult self with 20 fingers. And if you don't like that like indirect line of speed scaling for Sukuna, well, that's a little bit too much. Maybe Maki and Toji could actually be faster than that. We literally see 15 finger Maguna take care of Maki, host Sakurajima Colony, aka awaken Maki and Itadori at the same time. At the same time. With 15 fingers, by the way. Like, not even 20 finger. No, not the one that's currently standing around off the top of the world after he just beats Satoru Gojo. No. The one that was 5 fingers missing, fresh in a new vessel, was still able to go word for word, bar for bar with Maki. If not, pretty much outspeed her. Like, notably, Maki does land some hits and redirect some of his attacks, but in terms of raw speed, it's pretty clear that Sukuna has the edge there. It's just that Maki is pretty much low end relative to him in speed. And that's before he got 5 extra fingers. So in terms of just raw speed stat, easily top of the verse, except for Gojo. But now, since Gojo's gone, he's half Joe. Yeah, he's insane. And notably, I'm just talking about his physical combat speed. His technique speed now, with Gojo being unable to see and or dodge it, you could definitely argue, I've seen the arguments already, that Gojo, maybe he thought he was just going to tank the slash with the Limitless, and that's why he didn't dodge. But with that being the case, if we do not take into account that interpretation, we take into account the fact that Gojo really, I think in the entire fight, has never really dodged a cleave or dismantle. Like, even the one at the beginning, he looks at it and then bounces off his infinity. The dismantle that Sukuna fires bounces off the infinity and turns into a building behind Gojo. It's entirely likely that ultimately his attack speed with his curse technique, I say it in quotation marks because we don't actually know if cleave and dismantle is his full curse technique. I think we all know it really isn't. So his curse technique in cleave and dismantle is so blisteringly fast that it's out here perception blitzing the 6 eyes. Off-screening the 6 eyes. And not just any old 6 eyes. A 6 eyes juiced off of 4 black flashes. I'm sorry. I know. I like the Huff Copium as much as the next guy. But you mean to tell me that anybody else in the verse that we know of right now, maybe Kashima's going to come out and whip up in the kitchen with some crazy new speed feats, but you mean to tell me anyone else in the verse is out here perception blitzing the 6 eyes? I know the thing that allowed Gojo to review like an entire year's worth of memories in a minute? Or in real seconds. Because remember, these 6 eyes literally alter your perception of time. Everything runs so much slower for the 6 eyes. To the point where Satoru Gojo's perception is so off kilter that even though he was just standing in front of Kenjaku for like 5 seconds, the Prisoner was like, that's a minute in your cognition, buddy. You're coming with me. So the 6 eyes could not deal with or react with Sukuna's curse technique speed. I would expect anyone else in the verse to do that. So in terms of raw speed, Sukuna in an entirely different tier. Strength, striking strength and all that. Admittedly, this is where Sukuna kind of, I don't want to say falters, but like, punching-wise, he doesn't actually do much. I mean, relative to Gojo, right? Like, obviously I'm comparing everything off of Satoru Gojo, now the second strongest character in the series. Pretty much confirmed to be. Like, I'm sorry, if Gojo gets back up, he's getting cut right back down. The spatial slash is going to go crazy. But with that being the case, you have this awkward scenario where in terms of strength, Gojo, like, he took hits from Sukuna, but like Sukuna never punched him that hard to the point where like it drew any sort of life juice from Gojo or like caused him to stagger or anything like that too crazy. But we've seen Sukuna physically just dominate characters like Jogo. I admit Jogo's not really that impressive, but still being able to just throw around massive chunks, tank massive amounts of damage. It's more a testament to his durability, though. Strength-wise, Sukuna's weird, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that Sukuna is one of the physically strongest characters in the series. Basically, any other physical feat that involves lifting or punching that we've seen characters perform, you can probably upscale them. Or Sukuna just simply scales above that. Because he's him. Like, I hate to say it, he's just like that. He's just built like that, bro. I hate to say it. And in terms of just raw durability, this is where things get extra crazy. Hollow Purple was jacked up to 200%. And all he did was lose his arms. Now, admittedly, that is chalked up to, as Sukuna mentions himself, I believe in 235, that is chalked up to a distance thing. It's just like, oh, it was so far away. That's why I ended up just losing my arms from the purple. But the fact that he was able to tank a purple at all, crazy. No other, like, you cannot name another character in the series who can just tank a purple. And then he took a second one, nigh on point blank. Admittedly, it wasn't unrestrained. It was an unlimited hollow purple, if you will. But he also face tanked that. Admittedly, it was one that was max output blue and then seemingly a regular red, but still, that's absolutely crazy that he's that durable. Purple, something that we admittedly don't know the properties of. A lot of people automatically call it existence erasure, but that's never confirmed anywhere. Unlike Sukuna's slashes, which you can make the definite argue are existence erasure, or at least the new spatial slash, Gojo's purple is never confirmed to be that, but it is seemingly one of the strongest attacks in the verse, and Sukuna ate it twice. One while super low on cursed energy. Like, he was running low on juice, or seemingly running low on juice, by the end of 235, and he just, scrumdiddlyumptious, ate that purple. So in terms of raw durability, Sukuna's through the roof as well. Literally only able to be damaged by blues, reds, and purples from Satoru Gojo. Gojo's punches don't actually do that much to Sukuna. Like, he doesn't deal any real significant... Actually, wait a minute. Regular punches. He throws Sukuna around a lot, but he doesn't actually do much damage to him. You can literally see that throughout the entire fight. The only time he does real damage is when he hits him with those juicy blue punches that, like, tear holes in Sukuna. So those are a little bit... But, like, once again, who in the series is hitting harder than a blue amp Satoru Gojo? Especially one with a black flash on top of that. Not many characters. Sukuna's durability is also just through the roof. And, you know, obviously, it's been a running joke in the community for a while. But we cannot sleep on Sukuna's battle IQ. Bro is a genius's genius. He's argued, like, I'd say verbatim, even before the fight ended in 236, I'd say Sukuna himself is the greatest sorcerer in terms of sheer knowledge. The man knows everything. Like, he legit knew about the restoring of one's curse technique through the brain, which he first debuts most likely all the way back in Shibuya when he was in Itadori's body. And he straight up explains to Gojo, oh yeah, by the way, your curse technique is engraved like right around here on your prefrontal cortex, and you healing it over and over again. Yeah, do that again and you'll just drop. You'll just actually perish. So go ahead, try it, buddy, try it. Yeah, in fact, I'm over the main on you real quick. So like, he knew about that. And obviously, he just on seeing it once, by the way, while missing a hand, burnt to a crisp, built like a chicken nugget, upon seeing Mahoraga do the space slash once, while he was in the shadow realm, by the way, like he wasn't actually even in the real world when Gojo got his arm got. He simply saw it once and immediately transformed the very nature of his technique to simply ignore targets and just damage space. In terms of sheer IQ, there's not a single, battle, but then again, Kenjaku is the only character who's in contention for, like, smartest character battle IQ wise in the verse. Because Kenjaku should be the only person who has comparable, if not more, experience than Sukuna. Because I think Sukuna, who spent 1,000 years as a cursed object, Kenjaku was living that life. He was thugging about. He was definitely thugging it out throughout. He did the thug shaker on a few people. But, like, legitimately, he was going through all time battling and battling and battling. This is something Kenjaku even mentions in his fight with Tengen. He's like, hey, yo, not fight with Tengen, fight with Yuki and Choso plus Tengen. He's like, hey, bro, I've been moving with it. I've been shaking with it. I've been grinding with it. And not in that way, but it kind of works in that way, too. You see what he did with Jin. But with that being the case, Kenjaku's the only person who can rival him in sheer battle IQ. So Sukuna has peak stats just flatline across the board. And not to disregard that, why don't you slide on the king hat again real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, realize that he now has pretty and arguably the best hacks in the verse. Like, I think it's pretty much not an argument, especially on the characters who are alive. Like, you may be able to argue that once upon a time, Purple was a better hacks. But I don't know. I've seen Purple get face tanked. Twice. Well, maybe not face tanked. Tanked is a generous word. Survived. Twice. That's facial slash, huh? Yeah, that thing? that doesn't even target people anymore, and was fast enough to perception blitz the 6-size wielder Satoru Gojo off 4 black flashes. Yeah, that one technique alone is crazy. And guess what? He doesn't actually need that. Like, realize, regular cleave does numbers to literally anyone who's not named Satoru Gojo. Does insane numbers. The only reason, well, except the only person a regular cleave probably wouldn't do that well against is Hikari. And I say that because his RCT should be better than Gojo's. And you may be like, whoa, Pencil Man, what do you mean his RCT should be better than Gojo's? It's automatic. Like bro literally recovered from anything and everything as it happened. So, like, maybe Hikari can survive a regular cleave, but 9 out of 10 characters, and by 9 out of 10 I mean like 99.999999999999999 out of however many tens that is, characters end up getting one tap by basic cleave, which automatically adjusts to most things curse energy. Now you're telling me you don't just got basic cleave, you got giga cleave, omega cleave, the spatial slash, the hash slinging slasher, but instead of the hash slinging, it's the space slashing slasher. Like, y'all, no one's tanking that. Like, that's the big thing. Before, you may have been able to argue, okay, we've seen when Sukuna's playing around, he'll throw out a cleave or a dismantle, and someone like Ryu was able to take it. Nice, neat, juicy. But if he just can throw this out, which presumably he can. Remember, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, he said the technique was hard to do. Maybe in the original translations, but once again, let me run to Viz, and I know Viz is not the best. It's not the 100% perfect translation all the time, everywhere, anywhere. But let me quote Sukuna verbatim from chapter 236 in the official translation. He does not say that the technique itself is hard to use. He says that without any regard for your invulnerability, as long as it exists inside that space, that world, those existences will be split apart. It was an incredibly difficult technique to obtain, but I did have quite the wonderful model. So, what he's saying there is that it was hard to get. And he's right. Remember, the entire 13-chapter battle that went on before chapter 236 is a testament to how difficult it was to get Mahoraga out and get Mahoraga alive and get Mahoraga safe enough that it could develop that second adaptation that Sukuna could copy with his own curse technique. That is what the difficult part was. It was difficult to obtain, but nowhere in the entire chapter does he say it was difficult to do. Let me double check though before I get, because y'all fact checked me before. So I'll read Sukuna's entire monologue. Mahoraga's I will not read the entire monologue, but essentially let me just glaze over it real quick. I'd say I'd slap over it real quick, but I'm really trying to glaze real quick. Mahoraga's adaptation process completes a certain amount of time during that process. Not only just desired Mahoraga model, can involve vulnerability. The first time Mahoraga adapted, but curse energy, something I could not do. I waited until I could obtain an adaptation match. Second adaptation proceeded as a hub, wasn't meant to be the slash like when I launched. It was extension of the curse technique's target. Its target is not you, blah, blah, blah. Space. Yeah, nowhere does he say it's difficult. Here's the thing. It wouldn't make sense for the technique to be difficult, because he literally did it without healing anything. Like, he's still, seemingly enough, missing an eye. His hand is still gone. Like, he threw this spatial slash out while basically on the verge of death. Like he would, if Gojo hit him with another, like, blue amp, black flat, well, obviously a black flat, but like another blue punch to the chest, Sukuna may have just dropped. But he threw out this attack casually. First time try, and he managed to get the spatial thing off. This is a casual thing he can do. And unless Gege hard nerfs it or drops in the start of 237, this ability was a one-time use built off of binding. Like, if he pulls some nonsense like that, right now at 236 release, this is an ability he can just poop out without even healing. No. It's trouble. It's trouble. And once again, remember, the only reason Sukuna has even gone out of his way to do all this because he couldn't deal with the neutral limits. He couldn't deal with the infinity with any of his other techniques. The man has who knows how much more in his back pocket. We already know about the flame arrow, but he's not just relying on cleave and dismantle. He's not just relying on the 10 shadows. He's not just relying on the flame arrow. He's probably got a bunch of different techniques he can whip out on all these young whippersnappers. And listen, I think it's a rough looking time for anybody else. So the real question is there anyone that can really stop him? Like, outside of maybe Kashimo. Kashimo's curse technique video will likely be dropping tomorrow. I'm planning that already. I already got some ideas in my head. And I gotta get it out as soon as possible because we don't have a break, and 237 is dropping in 2 days from the time of recording. So I gotta get that out quick before gotta strike while the iron's hot. But with that being the case, unless Kashimo pulls up with something crazy, new, next level, even if Yuta Okotsu were to copy the Limitless and pull up with his own Infinity, it doesn't matter anymore. He has the counter to it. If Gojo Satoru were to rise up, get his torso taped back onto his legs, it wouldn't matter because Sukuna can just do it again. Once again, if Gojo was not able to react to the first one, what makes you think he's going to be able to react to the second one? He's not going to be able to. He's cooked. He's cooked. The spatial slash is going to whoop him too. Yuji Itadori, once again, I mentioned this in another video, which you can go check out if you want a more in-depth explanation, but the fact that Yuji's steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy doesn't matter because this new spatial slash does not target a person anymore. It targets the space that that person exists in. Yuji can be steeped in 1,000 fingers of Sukuna's cursed energy. Unless he suddenly has space manipulation resistance, he's not going to be able to stop the space he exists in from getting sliced in half. Maki? Sure, maybe she doesn't get hit by a cleave because she doesn't have any cursed energy to get cleaved with, but I'm pretty sure I'll regular dismantle to her dome piece and she's cooked. 15-finger Maguna drew life juice from her with a single punch. What do you think a cleave's going to do? Remember, Sukuna's slashes drastically, and I mean drastically, outscale his regular punching power. His regular kicking power. We see it. So thusly, I dismantled the Maki's dome piece and she's done. To her chest, she's done. Down the middle, she's done. Hikari. If Hikari gets jackpot, maybe he'd last 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I'll give him that. I don't think even Sukuna with the spatial slash will be able to get him. Unless you argue, like, if he really, really needs his brain in one piece. If Sukuna throws out multiple spatial slashes, all to Hikari's brain, and he, like, 5-sects it, then maybe Hikari gets got, but I think Hikari would last for 4 minutes, 11 seconds. But then Sukuna would just bust out his domain. Like, he would just tear it apart with a regular spatial slash. Or, realistically, as Hikari goes to open domain again, Sukuna just blitzes him. The moment Jackpot runs out, before Hikari can even remotely do the hand signs to open Idle Death Gamble again, Sukuna runs up, rips his arms off. Or kicks his arms off. The speed gap is too massive between base Hikari and 20-finger Sukuna. He didn't know that already. And then who's left? Who in the verse is like Yuta Okotsu? Do we want to talk about your mans? Bro is not spatially resistant. Here's the thing. I kind of glazed over this earlier. But let's do some simple mathematical scaling. I do not have numbers with me. But let's wind back in time to Sendai. And I know Yuta fans. Yuta was holding back. But I don't think there's anything to suggest that Yuta was holding back an entire perception blitz tier. And with that being the case, he and Ryu are relative in speed. We see this throughout their entire encounter. Neither exactly dominates the other, and neither exactly outclasses the other. So, we have Ryu Ishigori being relative to a full-power Yuta Okotsu in terms of raw speed. You know what 15-finger Maguna did to Ryu? If you don't remember, what I need you to do is open up your volumes and go back to that chapter where Ryu literally got perception blitz in 3-piece, no biscuit. No drink either. It was all just dry old chicken. That's all he got. So if Ryu's getting perception blitzed by 15-finger, I think it's pretty clear to say that Yuta Okotsu is going to get perception blitzed by 20-finger. I think it just feels logical. It makes sense to me. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. So in terms of speed, Yuta cannot compete. I'm presuming that Sukuna knows about cursed speech. Maybe that's a big assumption to make, but also I don't think Yuta can just sneak up on Sukuna and go, "How you doing, little mama? Let me perish in your ear." And he just tells Sukuna to drop, and Sukuna actually falls. I think Sukuna is more than powerful enough, even with his seemingly low cursed angel reserves at the end of 236, to absolutely no-sell anything that Yuta has to offer cursed speech-wise. Oh, but he has sky manipulation. Can't he grab and redirect the slashes? Once again, I need to remind you, Gojo Satoru the only character in the entire series who is seemingly enough faster than Sukuna, got perception blitzed by a spatial slash. Perception blitz. The way Uro's technique works is that you have to be able to react and even visualize the attack that's coming towards you. If you can do neither of these things, you will be sliced. And considering that Uro's is a technique that bends space and hides her in it, the space still exists. The slash would still tear through you, even if you were to hide behind the curtains. So Yuta just stands, don't train. But what about Drew's Shikigami technique? He would literally tear them apart and probably eat them. Like, let's be real. If Uro's able to casually tug and tear away at the Shikigami, then it's very likely Sukuna can. Like, I don't think that's too blasphemous a claim to make. That Uro, someone who was nearly crying and screaming when they sent 15 Finger enter their presence, is likely an inferior combatant to 20 Finger. So you know what I gotta say? I gotta say that Sukuna's pretty much unstoppable. That's the big thing, right? A lot of people were very much on, oh, Gojo needs to go. Gojo needs to perish. He's too strong. He's too broken. He breaks the plot over his knee. Absolutely no care, no regard for it. So he has to go. I have a whole video planned to talk about that more in depth now that Gojo actually is seemingly enough gone. But my main thing I got to say about this, and the main thing I wonder with Gege now, is how did he fix this problem that Gojo is too strong for the plot when he made Sukuna literally unstoppable? The best stats in the entire verse, the only one he's hypothetically lacking in, is battle IQ, because he's literally competing with something that's over 1,000 years old in real-time experience. The only thing he's lacking in terms of curse techniques is like soul damage, I guess, maybe, but we know that's not even true, because he's able to manipulate the soul so well that he's able to put Maharaga's wheel over Megami. He's able to attack the soul of Mahito directly while Mahito enters his own innate domain, and he has the natural soul attacking property by subconsciously understanding the contours of the soul through sharing a body with Megami. Like Yuji got the ability to see and attack souls when he was sharing a body with Sukuna. So Sukuna's not lacking in any sort of hacks. And the speed of these hacks is what makes it the most crazy. The speed, variety, and unknown nature of these hacks is what really gets complicated and really makes you wonder, did Gege actually solve that there's a character that's too strong in the narrative problem, or did he just make it worse? Like, the thing is, at least with Gojo, you could argue that the man was fallible. You could argue that he made mistakes. But, like, what mistakes are there left for Sukuna to make? Who is left to challenge the man when he's able to just casually, while burnt crispier than the finest chicken nugget this side of the land, able to throw out attacks to just rend space apart? How is he a smaller narrative problem than Gojo is now? How? I think ultimately, I'm not saying Gege wrote himself into a corner. It's entirely possible that he made Sukuna this strong just so the fall hits harder. Don't worry, I can see that future. He clearly did the same thing with Gojo in 235. Slopping Gojo off for a decent chunk of the back half of the fight, only to off-screen him in 236, is clearly for the shot value. Trust me, I've read things before. I've engaged in fiction before. So I know a little ruse when I see it. But with this case in particular, with this level of absolute sheer dominance that Sukuna has, unless Kashimo can literally save Jujutsu Society, save the Serete itself, I have no idea how they're supposed to beat Sukuna when he literally has everything at his disposal. Heavens forbid he actually heals up next chapter. Heavens forbid Kashimo pulls a Goku and gives him a Senzu Bean or something. Heavens forbid Yorozu's gives actually a Senzu Bean and just pops that real quick to be back to full health so he can properly fight Kashimo. If Sukuna gets any manner of full heal, it's done. Or even a partial heal, or even no heal at all. He's just that powerful. His techniques are just that good. He's just that strong. He's just that fast. He has just that many unknowns. He is arguably, literally, maybe even unironically, he has more unknowns than Yuta Okotsu. A big theory around Yuta is that the reason that, well, not even a big theory, the reason that people have so much faith in him is that we haven't seen all the curse techniques he has. And that's true. But that's the same thing for Sukuna. And now there's no special secret little barrier that's stopping him from using these other curse techniques. Bro could have all the elements. He could literally be the Avatar. Nothing can stop him. He literally has Cleaving Dismantle. Each individually on their own can wipe entire verses. And now he evolved one of them, maybe both, to have spatial negation properties instead of actually targeting people properties. What do you want the cast to do that won't feel nonsensical? Kashimo's the only one I have faith in because, once again, we know nothing about him. And his once-in-a-lifetime technique could be the one to save us all. But right now, at the end of 236, looking at the man, the myth, the monster that is Ryomen Sukuna, I wonder if Gege has made a mistake. Or if he simply ends or intends to end the series in a world of darkness. I don't know. However, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave the strongest king, one word, in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 no month. So you get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a very big thank you to our $3 members, O'Connor Plays, Redwolf 4765, and Herb Skills. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Sean, Redwolf 4765, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another beefy thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha and iDemokami. And I'd like to give a very, very hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another very big, scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our two $25 patrons, Igneal and Calvin Elder.